We have begun. Well, welcome level 1 students. This is your guide to get your first project underway. So let us begin. Just that there. Alright, so you should know how to navigate your way to the Riviera Tech website and how to get to your course and your first assignment. So we'll go to all courses and let's see how fast this computer is going to be. Alright, cats. So this is level 1, so we're going to go to digital media, which is level 1 right here. And we will go to curriculum. I'm sure you know. If you watched the video, the other video of the overview of the website, then you know how to do this. And we are on week 2, I believe it will be found. Yes, there. Complete all projects and watch all required videos. Okay. So your first project is called Layers and Shapes. It's going to teach you the basics of Photoshop, which we will be using a lot in this class. You can watch this video and it tells you what Photoshop is if you've never heard it before, or maybe you heard of it and said, I wonder what that is. Look, see this where it says insert video? Of course, you know, let's see, insert video, that's where I'm going to put this video, so this video will be there when you actually go there. And then let me zoom out a little bit more, and then you have this guide, which is a written guide, and you can just scroll through the pages like this. You can also zoom in. If you zoom in too much, it gets a little wonky there, so it gets a little out of focus, but you should not have to zoom in that much. So this is the guide. You're just going to follow this step by step. It's a set of instructions which would get you through this first project. And of course, if you need help during it in class, just ask me. Now, the only thing is a little different is the beginning tells you to go to a certain spot, which is different on our computers. So I'm going to get you started up into probably what step? Whoops. I think step 2 or 3. Okay, so let's go back. So the first thing you're going to do is first you're going to find Photoshop on your computer. So let me just minimize this for a second. And this is your desktop, this area here where El Capitan, it's that this mountain here, mountain peak here is El Capitan. And here's a bunch of junk over here on my desktop. So we are going to go, now this is the dock that appears and disappears. Your dock may be permanently, okay, so this item down here, this whole set of apps and so forth, that's your dock, which you can add and remove things from your dock if you wish. Now, you may have, it depends on your computer. Your computer might already have Photoshop down here and you can just click on it. This here is Premiere Pro. As you can see, it's an Adobe product. So if I click on that, it's going to open up Premiere Pro. But we want Photoshop. So if Photoshop is not here on the dock, then you can go down to the dock again and go to this little rocket ship, which is the launch pad. Click on that and you're looking for Adobe. And you go to the little button here. Take you to the second page, and there it is right here. This, I'll zoom in. This is the Adobe CS4. CS4 is the version that we use. So if you click on that, it's going to show you all the software for Adobe that we have available to you to use in the class. And here's Photoshop right over here. So you just click on it, it's going to open up. Let's do that, and it should, down at the bottom of the dock, you'll see the little icon jumping up and down, saying, I'm free, someone's going to use me. Zoom out a little bit, over zoom there, alright, right there, I think, there you go. So Photoshop has opened up, and you can look at the top here, you can see at the top it's telling you right here that you are in Photoshop. And if you notice, if I click over here, oops, let's click over here, I am now in Finder. You can see I'm in Finder, so I'm no longer in Photoshop. So let's go back to Photoshop, get it back open there, and now I'm back in Photoshop. And depending on, you know, who used the computer before you, perhaps they set up Photoshop differently, but these are the panels that you have here. They are movable, but we'll just leave them where they're at in the default setting. I will move this one back because it will not be there like that for you. I'm going to go up here in Windows and set workspace to the default, so it will go back to the way it looks when you first open it from the computer, from the factory. So let's go to the instructions now. So this is what you want. Just keep that in mind, that if you're wondering what if all this stuff disappears over here, look up here by the black apple. The black apple will always be there, and these menu options will change in the main menu here depending on what application or piece of software that you have open. So if you see something wrong, make sure you're in Photoshop, because like you can see, if I just click over here, now I'm in Finder. Let's go back to Photoshop. Okie dokie, let's go to the instructions. Now the instructions are on the website. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a canvas, and like an artist who, a painter paints on a canvas, and in Photoshop you do all your work on a canvas. And just like in real life, canvases come in different shapes and different sizes. So same thing in Photoshop. So we're going to set the photo. This is, you can see it's very blurry. Oh, let's do this. That's because I'm zooming in. Let's see if you can enlarge it. Maybe it gets a little bit clearer. If not, that's pretty good. So you can see this is the canvas has a width and a height setting. This is in inches and resolution, so forth. So what it's basically going to do is you're going to go to File, New, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Go to File, New, and then this window will, this little pop-up will appear. So let's go back to Photoshop, and here we go. Oh, good. I'm going to leave that there. See how long it lasts there. So you go up to File, New, and it's automatically going to pop this up, and you'll notice that this and this one, which are the same, just a different color. That's because they had an older version of Windows there, or actually they're on Windows, a Windows computer, and we are on a Mac. And you'll also notice that some of the some of the main settings that should always be there are there, like the width and the height and the units of measurement over here are there. But as you can see, color mode looks a little bit different, and the background content is now in the updated version of CS4. Remember, we're using CS4, and this was actually called Elements, so it's a little bit older than ours. So you can see you can name it. I would name it first. You can name it according to naming protocol. I'll just put my last name in there because I know who I am. But oops, I won't do that though. So name it accordingly, and then you're going to make the height and the width match the dimensions that they have over here in the instructions. So we want the width of 7, so you can just change this to 7. You can highlight it, hit 7. You can double click on it, hit 7. It's a 7 by 7 square, and it's in inches. You can see right here. So make sure this is in inches, because it can be in any of these other units of measurement. And let's do this. Let's say it was in pixels, and then you set it to 7 like this, and then you said, oh my goodness, it has to be in inches, I see over here, and then you change it to inches. Okay, you can see it had an effect over here, so it changed that to what it thinks it should be, and it's not what it really should be. So be aware of that. Double check it, make sure the units of measurement are correct. I would set those first and then set your numerical value in there. The other setting is the resolution, which is this one, which is 72. So you can just change this to 72, and I'm going to type 72 in there, and this is matching pixels and inches. And the color mode is RGB color. We have that, and you notice there's no 8-bit. We just leave everything else the same. If you change these two, the height and the width, and get them correct in inches, you're good to go. So once that's set, you say OK, and it's going to create the canvas. Here's the canvas over here, this beautiful thing here. And so this white square is the actual canvas. That's where you're going to do all the creating. This black area is just a border. So let's go. I'm going to leave the border there a little bit so we can see it doesn't blend too much in there. Alright, so that's the first step. Now this next step, let's put this somewhere so I can read. How about right there? Second step, it says you're going to begin to set up your layers palette. Okay, so let's see what they do. I don't even know what they do there. The layers is already there. Here's the layer. When they say the layers palette, okay, the window layers. Here's the layers you can see right here. It says layers, that's the layer palette. And these different tabs are different palettes. You can see if you choose, and now you're in the channels, the paths, and the layers and so forth, and mask and swatches and styles and so forth. So we want us in layers, and you'll be in layers. So you can probably just skip over this step. Alright, let's do past that one. Get this out. I'm gonna squeeze this over this way because it's gonna be always in my I'm getting a little confused here. Alright, let's go to the next page. Scroll down here. So step 3, you're going to create a new layer. Okay, so this is probably where I'm probably going to be leaving you in a moment. Make sure you read the instructions there, okay, and that you understand them, because in this instruction it'll say if they want you to do something, and they will show you multiple ways how you can accomplish that task. In this case, in step number 3, they want you to create a new layer, and they're going to show you 3 different ways on how you can create a new layer. So be aware of that. If you read this, it says our first step is to create a new layer, blah blah blah. There are several ways right here. I wish I could write on this, but I can't, okay, because I'm on a Mac computer. There are several ways to create a new layer. One way is to click, and then they show you that one way to do it. And then if you scroll through this, okay, it says another way right here. Another way is to click, and they show you a different way to make a new layer. And then if you continue on, they're going to say up here, they'll say a third way is to select. So you can make your new layer any way you want. That's up to you. Just make sure you make a new layer, and the important thing is that the name of your layer, which goes over here, when they tell you to name it a certain way, make sure you name it a certain way, because if you don't, you'll start to get confused. And when they refer to a layer by its name and you have it named differently, trust me, when you're working with hundreds of layers, you better make sure you label them, because otherwise you're going to be lost. Okay, so that was just to make a layer. So I'm going to make a layer. I'm going to show you one way. Go to Photoshop and move this over here and zoom back out where we're supposed to be. There you go. So here's our canvas. Here's our layer panel over here. I'm going to move it over here so we can have it in the center here. And it's already labeled background. That's automatically takes place. So they want us to make a new layer. Now now you can do it several ways. Down here there's a little tab, a little button. Oh, sorry, that's not it. I don't even remember what's that. That's not it. Oh, here it is. Sorry. This one here should be it. Cross your fingers, create a new layer, and you can notice, if you notice, when you hover your mouse over the buttons, a little pop-up appears telling you what that button is, and even tells you what you can do with it. This shows you can create a new layer. And let me just zoom in for those who see. If I hover over that and I wait a few moments, it says create a new layer. That's what that button does. If I hover over this one, it says create a new group, and it does that pretty much. This is grayed out because it's not active. It does that for pretty much all the buttons in here. If you just hover over it a few seconds, it tells you what it is. It tells you what it is over here in the toolbar. It tells you what it is. And even in this case, that G that's in the parentheses, that's the shortcut keystroke on your keyboard. Alright, so I don't want to get you too confused. So, we're going to make a new layer. And one way, of course, you click here and make a new layer. I'm going to go to File, Layer, New, and then, of course, New Layer. You just want a simple layer. Click on Layer. And when you make a new layer, it doesn't matter what type it is, this is going to pop up, this little pop-up window, and it's going to ask you to name your layer. In the instructions, if they give it a certain name, I'm going to see if they tell you to name it. It says back there. That's not it. Let's go. Sorry. Let's go back here. Go up that way. Let's see. What did it say? Let's go back here. It says, our first create a new layer because the background creates like that. There are several ways to create a new layer. Okay, just gonna show you this another way. Oh, no. Let's see if they do. They gonna tell me how to name it? Let's see. We got it. There. No. There. When you create your first layer, name it back. B-A-C-K. And you can tell you to name it. Click on the layer, but I'm gonna show you for those who don't like to read. Go back to Photoshop. And you can just you can either hold the left click button down on the mouse and highlight it like that. When it is highlighted in a light blue color like that, as soon as you start typing, it deletes everything that's highlighted in blue and just adds what you're typing. You can also double click on it, make sure everything is selected, and then start typing in. Once you start typing in, it erases everything. So in other words, you don't have to highlight it, delete it, and then start typing. None of this do you have to change. Just say OK, and you'll notice over here before I say OK, there's only one layer here. Obviously, if I'm creating a new layer, as soon as I say OK, it will appear over here. These are all your layers, and that is part of the magic of Photoshop and most of the Adobe software when it comes to graphics and so forth, is that it works in layers. So I'm going to say OK, and you notice here are my two layers. The one we just created says back, and the one that was created automatically, which is locked, which you can unlock if you want, which was created when you made the new canvas. And you, let's see, I don't think I can do it here, but this is the stacking order right now. The order that they're stacked on one another is referred to as the stacking order. So right now you have the back layer on top of the background layer, and you can move these around. You can't put anything below the background layer, so and so I can't move these around. But if I had another layer, I could move these around, and that's very important. Okay, so when you're doing your project, go back to the project. Make sure you look at these. Excuse me. Make sure you look at the images, the screenshots, which is this thing right here, the screenshot of the computer screen. Make sure you look at them to make sure that your layers panel, here's a shot of a layer, here's the layers panel. Make sure that your layers panel matches exactly the layers panels and the instructions, especially in the way that these layers are stacked. So when you're doing this, in this case, you see the square layer is above the back layer, and they're both above the background layer. If you have this reverse where the back is on top of the square, then you're going to get different results, and you're going to get frustrated, and you'll blame me like it's all my fault. Maybe it is. That's not my fault, trust me. So do pay attention to that, and follow these little arrows. Okay, when they say using one of these methods, you know, when that arrow there is not just drawn there because they like to use the arrow tool. It's there that say, hey, what's written here, you can actually see where the item is and what the instructor who wrote this is talking about. Okay, so right now, whoops, this is going to drive me crazy. Let's go back. So we are in step 4, I believe. Yes, name it back. So we made it a new layer up here, and then we named it back. And they showed you several ways to name a layer. It shows you several ways you can rename it, I believe. Okay. And then it's going to talk about going to color swatches and how to get that drop down and go to color swatches. And I think that here, if you look over here, right up here, swatches is already highlighted. So just so you understand in the instructions, when they go to, I believe, window, these are all the items that are the ones that have a little check by it. Those are the panels or tools that are visible right now as we look at our computer screen. If you look down, that's weird. I'm going to say, whoops. I was going to say, if you look down here, swatches is not checked off yet. I can see it over there. That's very strange. Maybe I need new glasses. No, I don't know. That's interesting. Let's see what happens when I hit swatches. That's weird. Let's do this. I want to see something. Well, that's something new to me. I've never known that. It only appears when it's checked off when it's on being used. Let's see. This is styles. Yep. All right, that's very strange, but not that important. But good to know. All right, so the step right here, which is step 4, actually, he's going to the swatches up there. And you can notice that on these instructions, when it says window, and then you have the, I believe the less than sign, and then another word or words. Those are referring you to, hey, look for the word window on your computer, okay, in Photoshop. So it says move this out of the way. It says look at window, so I'm looking for window here, and this is the only place you're going to really see words, and maybe over in the panel. So look for the word window, and then go to the next one, which is color swatches, and then go down. And now see they have color. They don't have color swatches. See, they switched the name to just swatches. So just be aware that we're working on a newer version of what this was created in, what this project is based on. So you'll see slight changes like that. And I believe, I'm going to go out on a limb, but whenever you see the instructions written like this, they are always going to refer to the main menu up here. And this is the main menu up here. These are sub-menus. This menu is the options menu. Excuse me, I forget what they call this menu right here. Let's see if I can get the answer to it if I hover over it. No, I forget. Again, this is the options. The options menu changes. This menu up here stays the same as long as you're in Photoshop. And this menu changes depending on what tool that you're using. You can see I choose different tools and the menu options change over here. This one remains the same all the time, but I just still can't remember the name of it. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop there. Oh, the one thing I forgot to tell you, sorry, which is extremely important. After you make your new canvas, so when you go to File, New, and you made your new canvas and you gave it a name, okay, there's my name, and you hit OK, the first thing you need to do after that is go to File, Save. Okay, I'm going to go to Save As because I've never named this project, so I only get to choose Save As. So I hit Save As, and then another window is going to pop up, and it's going to allow me to name, that's the project, or I could rename it if I wanted to, or keep that name. Excuse me. I'm going to decide where I'm going to save it. So right now it's going to be saved to my desktop. I would save everything on your desktop. I would perhaps make a folder named Photoshop and just put that on your desktop and save everything to that. So I'm going to cancel this and just show you what I'm talking about. This video may go on forever, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. So let me get all this out of the way. Go back to the desktop. So here's the desktop, and you can see I have all these folders. Now I want to make a new folder, so I right click on my mouse and go to New Folder. And I think, let's see if I can get there. File, I can probably go to File, New Folder up there. That's the second way to do it, but I'd like to right click, New Folder, and it appears over here. It's already highlighted in light blue. I'm going to see if I can move it over here. No. So if I click once, it's dark blue. When I start typing, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to prove it. See, I'm typing, nothing happens. Click once, click again, and it's going to turn that light blue. And then I'm just going to name it Photoshop. And there we have that. Now you can save your work. And it jumped over there because I have this, if you go to sort by, I have name. So all these folders are going to be sorted by name. And you want a different way, by date, whatever, you can do the same. All I did was right click on that and go to show or sort by. Excuse me again. So here we go. So Photoshop. So Photoshop is a folder on my desktop. So let's go back to Photoshop and save that like I'm going to save it. So I'm going to save as. It's going to give me a chance to rename it if I want to. I'll leave the same name. And mine is already on desktop, but when you do this, yours might be on documents. It usually is on documents by default. You would just have to click on desktop, and then these are all the, zoom in here, these are all the items that are on my desktop. So I can save it in any of these folders I want, or if I just click now, it's just going to place it somewhere here on my desktop. So if I wanted to put it in my Photoshop folder, I just select that folder and you should just have to hit save and it will automatically put it in there. Let's zoom out here. And I believe if I hit save, it may not appear here right away because as soon as I hit save, it's probably going to close the window. There it is. But if I check over here by zooming out correctly, getting out of here, here's my Photoshop, and inside there is my Photoshop document. I just have a blank canvas. The thumbnail is just a white square because I have nothing on my canvas over here. If I had something on my canvas, I would see that there. So again, if I go over here to Photoshop, now if I do some adjustments over here, this video is going to go on for us, so I'll use red over there. And I'm just going to just do a little painting there. Oh, got a weird brush. But that's good enough. Well, let's get a different brush. Don't want to freak anybody out. Alright, so I'm going to paint. And now when I go to File, because I want to save it, going to go to File. Now I have the option to just choose Save. And that's the one I would choose. This over here tells me that is the shortcut key to save it, so you don't have to always go File, Save. The shortcut key is hitting the little squirrely thing, which is the Apple key, or Command S. And if I hit Command S, you'll see a brief flash up here. There it is. That means that you saved it. But again, you could also go to File, Save. You notice Save is not available now because I haven't made any changes, so there's nothing to save. What I would do is every time you do a couple of changes, save it. Just hit Command S on your keyboard and save your work. Because if you don't, you're going to lose everything and blame me again because like it's my fault. Now this thumbnail over here should have changed, and you see now how it's changed, so you can clearly identify what you're working on. And there's the name of the project there. Alright, I'm going to cough again. Excuse me again. And I think that should get you started with this first project here. And the rest are probably once you understand the basics of how to read this and how to follow the instructions, you should not have a problem. But just always remember, if you have a problem, don't see me. No, if you have a problem in class, let me know. But do pay attention to what you're doing by reading this carefully. There was something I was going to say, but I don't think it's that important. All right, let's sign off for now. And welcome to your adventure in the use of Photoshop. Where's that stop button? There it is right there. Bye-bye.